Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. It is our very first webinar highlighting the exciting program level implementation of the standards. So thank you all so much for joining us. I am Julie Matusik and I will be the moderator kicking us off today, and we'll introduce our presenters shortly. So a couple things to mention before we dive in. So if you are joining us online, you can listen directly through your computer speakers. And if you have joined via the phone number that Zoom provided, your line has been muted to minimize background noise. And though, for those of you that are online, you'll be able to access handouts. We'll drop the link in the chat for that. And in addition, we will ask you to please put questions that you have directly into the Q&A section of the Zoom panel, and you can use the chat to say hello to fellow participants. You also can contact our tech support that is on today directly through the chat as well. And we will try to get to all questions by the end of the webinar. And if we're not able to, someone from the NFSN will follow up with you after today's webinar. And so today's PowerPoint, as well as the recording for this webinar, will be available on the website by this time tomorrow. So want to dive in here. We'd like to get a sense of who is in the on the webinar today. And so take a peek at this map and you'll see we have divided the United States into regions. So see which corner of the states you are in. And we have some international options as well. So take a moment to respond to this poll and let us know where you're joining us from. Okay, if you haven't responded yet, taking one more second to do that. All right, let's see these results. Well, that is wonderful. We have about even representation from the South, Midwest, and West, and the Northeast. We're getting snow up here, so maybe that's why we're a little behind. But so happy to have you on here. Great geographic diversity here. Wonderful. And two more questions for you, actually. This next one is about your affiliation. So there's going to be a poll launched here momentarily. So what is your affiliation? Do you work for a family resource center or a family resource center network, or maybe another family support program, maybe a parent leader, early education, there's a couple government options there. Maybe you're a private funder. Take just another moment to respond. Okay, let's see those results. All right, so we have some diversity here with our affiliations as well. It looks like we have almost half of you represent family resource centers. That is great. And we also have representation from family resource center networks and other family support programs, education, government, child welfare, private funder. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. And the last question that we have for you, just to learn a little bit about who is here today, is which level you work at. So are you working at the policy systems level? Are you working at the management level? Are you working in directly in a program or directly with families? And of course, we have other, and feel free to put in the chat what you're up to if you'd like. All right, take one more moment to respond if you haven't yet. Awesome. Great. Looks like we have all levels represented today. That is wonderful. Strongest representation from the program and direct service level. So great. Well, thank you all so much for responding to those polls. It's wonderful to see who's with us today. So we'll dive right in and want to share a little bit of contextual information. So the National Family Support Network, we were founded back in 2011, and at that time we had 8 states that were parts of the network. And since then, the NFSN has more than quadrupled in size, and we have 38 member networks that represent 37 states and the District of Columbia, which represents more than 3,000 family resource centers that are serving more than 2 million people annually. So welcome to our newest member, which is Minnesota. And here on this slide, you'll see our mission and our vision. Our mission is to promote positive outcomes for all children, families, and communities by leveraging the collective impact of state family resource center networks and championing quality family support and strengthening practices and policies. And so we especially would love to connect of the with anyone from any states that are not currently green on that map. So our vision, which relates to that, is turning that whole map green, ensuring that all families have access to quality family support services in their own communities that are provided by family resource centers supported by strong networks. And these are our 3 areas of work. And so all the things that the National Network does are tied to one of these areas. So the first is connecting and convening our member networks to enhance their effectiveness. The second is promoting the best practice, the family support best practice and evaluation. So raising awareness of what quality family support is and promoting a common language, standards, and evaluation of it through the national implementation of the standards of quality for family strengthening and support. And then our last bucket is raising the visibility of the value in the impact of this family strengthening and support field of this networks in order to strengthen and increase support for families. So that is a little bit about us, and we're so excited to highlight the valuable work that's being done across the country today. You can see here our roadmap for the day. So sharing a little bit of brief background information, and then we'll get into what you're all here for today, which is the program implementation. You'll have a chance to hear from the Colorado Family Resource Center in Colorado, the Hilltop Family Resource Center, and a center in Kentucky, and we'll have time at the end for Q&A. So be sure to enter those questions as you think of them into the Q&A portion of the Zoom console. So want to share some brief background information just so you can be a bit grounded in the standards. So these standards are designed to be used by all stakeholders. So public departments, foundations, community-based organizations, and families as a tool for planning, providing, and assessing quality practice. And they uniquely integrate and operationalize 2 key frameworks. And these standards, they create a common language and expectations across different kinds of family strengthening and support programs. So whether you're in a family resource center, a home visiting program, child development programs, or other programs in the field, you can find these standards helpful. And these standards help ensure that families are strengthened and supported through quality practice. And they're available along with all of the implementation tools on the website. So you can download those at any time if they are newer to you. And we did recently revise these in 2021 with an eye towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they look a bit different than they used to. And so we had very, very diverse stakeholders being part of that process to update them. And there are 5 core focus areas, 5 areas of practice that these standards focus on. And they are on this next slide. So these are the 5 sections of the standards if you aren't as familiar with them. And again, I encourage you to download them if you aren't as familiar, but the core areas are here. And then want to briefly introduce this tool, which is our program level implementation continuum. So anyone that is trained in the standards and is using the standards is encouraged to use one of the implementation tools. So we have a program level one and a network level one. So if you're at the program level, which I know many of you are, you would be encouraged to use this as a map for strategizing your next steps as you're working with the standards. So on this document, you see sample activities and the resources that are available to you as you're plugging along. So Wanted to share this briefly just so you have it as context, because we know that the two programs that we are highlighting have been using this tool to guide their incredible work that they're doing. And with that, I am so excited to introduce our presenters for today. We will hear first from Sue, and then we'll turn it over to Jessica and Gambia to walk us through their center. So without further ado, take it away, Sue. Oh, and you're on mute. So let's see. There you go.
And I
Zoom gets us
determined I
every
was
time.
not going to do this. Hello, everyone. I'm Sue Conry. I am the director for Hilltop Family Resource Center. We are located in the western portion of Colorado in Grand Junction, and we also have a site in Montrose, Colorado. Between the two of those sites, we have a population of about 100,000 people. So really a fairly rural community if you were to look at it in the scope of other communities. We were certified by the Colorado Family Resource Center Association in 2006. So I still feel like we're kind of new kids on the block in terms of the work that's being done. We are a family. Go ahead and let's move to the next slide, if you would. We are very family-centered, a single point of access for members of our communities. Each one of our centers has the right door, no wrong door, however you want to say it. But basically, individuals can come into our buildings and we provide services that are tailored to their specific needs. We really use a whole family approach to help the families achieve their personal and family sustainability. And on the next slide, what you'll see is that really the strength of our model is that we follow the protective factors framework, and which is part of the strengthening families approach. So we're looking at how we can build for families the parental resiliency, social connectedness, knowledge of parenting and child development, concrete support, and social and emotional competency. And how we do that is that first and foremost, what we do is we create we don't call it a parent advisory, we call it a participant advisory committee that is really very much engaged in how our Family Resource Center provides services to individuals in the community. We make sure that there are plenty of opportunities for social connectedness, whether that's through options that activities that we provide, ways for individuals to interact and connect socially with others that come through our centers. We also do a lot of parenting and child development, have a number of in-home parenting support systems, as well as we also do some work with supervised parenting for families who have been court ordered to work with their kids. The concrete support in needs of time basically is for us as a way in which we have families that come in, families that come into our centers and have just a one-time need, or they may have multiple needs. And so we're there to provide everything from diapers or car seats to supporting them through clinical services. And then, of course, looking at the social and emotional competence of children, making sure that there's opportunity to interact, to communicate clearly. And part of that for us is truly looking at the staff that we hire that provide those services. The individuals on the next slide, you'll see who we typically serve. And their families, they're living in poverty. Our poverty rate here in our two communities is at approximately 15%. I'm sorry, 21% of our the average household. So lots of folks with numerous needs. They have many, many challenges. White and Hispanic are our primary ethnic racial populations that we serve. And mostly we serve adults and children, kiddos from basically prenatal moms up to 19 years of age. again, because we do supervised parenting, some folks come in and are court ordered, but we have a number of individuals that we serve that are voluntary as well. Many are recovering from trauma. We manage a domestic violence, interpersonal violence center here as well. So we are supporting individuals that are coming in the midst of crisis. We also we also work to help keep kids stay safe in their homes. Parents as teachers and Safe Care are two specific services and programs that we offer. We also know that our parents are often experiencing isolation due to lack of connections. And we've seen that certainly since the pandemic, that has really increased in our areas. And of course, families in need of mental health, often I think experiencing that isolation and the needs for mental health are combined. We work off of 3 paths, which the Colorado Family Association talks about, both a general service path, a center service path, and then our family development. And as I mentioned before, some of the things for the people coming in with just an immediate need include diapers, pro bono legal services. We are the center for 211, so we are the national 211 for Western Colorado. And we also provide opportunities for non-cash assistance. The center services on the next slide is the one that provides services for individuals that come in looking for that connection. Prenatal services is another component that we have. We see a number of moms that come in, first-time mothers that have a need for services. They are often looking for health insurance, often looking for ways to enroll in food assistance. We provide WIC enrollment on site and also do enrollment for SNAP here. So I would say in our center services path, most people don't spend a lot of time in that area with us, but we often see that where they end up joining us as a family resource center, and I'll get to how that's impactful with the standards, is that they then join us on our family development pathway, which is the next slide. And this one is really where we work with families. They would be assigned a family navigator, and they set their own personal goals using assessments to track the family's progress. The families receive anywhere from 2 times a week types of services to once a week, once a month. Really, they have opportunity to do everything that we offer in our Family Resource Center. Sorry, I'm going to grab my notes. The standards of quality. If you could move to the next slide, that would be helpful too. Thanks. I guess before I talk about standards of quality, I'll just talk about our mission, because our mission, our Hilltop Community Resource mission, is really talking about relationships, starting with the possibilities, how we speak and speak and listen to people, the integrity of our organization, the integrity that we show towards our clients and participants. Courage, not only that our staff have courage, but that we help empower and provide opportunity for our participants to speak to courage, to have courage. Inclusivity, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slide, but really respecting individuals' differences. Also providing the opportunity to grow, and growth, we know, comes in many different forms, in many different ways. And what we attempt to do is meet the individuals where they're at, to encourage them to grow to their own greatness, to their own abilities as a parent, as a child. That really growth is key. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we have fun, which we have lots of fun here at our Family Resource Center. And truly, how this ties in to our equity, diversity, and inclusion is, I said I would talk more about inclusivity. And if you can switch to the next slide, we have for about 3 years now worked on, we call it EDI. I know sometimes it's JEDI, it might be DIE, but really our mission at Hilltop is that we recognize the importance of the social, economic, health, language, and racial justice. And everything we do, we put the EDI lens on. And what I can say is that the standards of quality have helped us immensely in being able to make sure that we are really focusing on inclusivity, that we are focusing on diversity. Our goal is when somebody walks into our center that they feel welcome, that they feel included. We just recently put out a survey. It's just a 2-question survey that says, do you feel welcome when you walk into our center? And we are working on the feedback that comes from that and how we can make sure that people feel included. We provide that support through EDI related trainings and performance goals for our staff. We offer EDI related trainings to our participants as well. And we're always looking for feedback on that. On the next slide, how we tie it in is to the standards of quality. The principles of the standards of quality is basically, we look at it's very easy for us as an organization, as a Family Resource Center, to tie our mission and values to the standards of quality. And a lot of it is about relationship. It's about staff and families working together. It's about maintaining the integrity, that there is integrity. Our programs are embedded in the communities. The community trusts us. They refer people to us all the time. It's that integrity. Our staff work with families to really mobilize them to access other resources in the community. So what we see in terms of the standards is that we have a strong community relationship. Our programs also offer flexibility and are always responsive to emerging family and community issues. Specifically right now, what we are addressing is the reduction of SNAP allotment due to the end of the emergency, the pandemic, the emergency rule, as well as the reduction in Medicaid, 2 of areas in which we work a lot. And so we have put additional resources, staff resources and funding into being responsive to what the impact is going to be to our families specifically. We also model all of our activities, including our planning and governance, to the principles of the Family Resource Center and the family development. On the next slide, with the additional 2, I think 3 values that we have, again, inclusivity. We offer a number of programs that are always including families. You can see from our photos, these are photos that are in our buildings, that we are making sure that we are affirming families, no matter what that family looks like, no matter who that family be. It might just be an adult that doesn't even have a child with them. They have some family somewhere. So we are always advocating for our families and ensuring that they have a safe and fair place to be. Growth, again, one of our values is that we are helping families build capacity to support the growth and development of all of the families. And then fun. And I can say that we offer a fun event at least once a month, where people can gather, where people can enjoy opportunities that really help eliminate isolation, that just give people an opportunity to have fun and to connect with others. If we go to the next slide, how some of this has worked for us is that we use the standards as the blueprint for implementing our best practices and for the self-assessment. And this comes right out of the Standard of Quality's book. And as I look at it, I'm sorry, I'm going to find my notes because this one I have some very specifics for you. We hold a monthly, as a staff team, as a leadership team, we hold a monthly implementation team meeting where our standards of quality are reviewed. And we create SMART goals that basically are related to the standards of quality. We have all of the, we have the family centeredness, family strengthening, the diversity, community strengthening and evaluation. And what we do there is we go, where do we need to, where are we not meeting high quality? And that has always been our goal, is that we can be at high quality, but we want to exceed that high quality. We want to go to the next level. And so what we do is we create in this implementation team how we use the standards of qualities. We set our own SMART goals. We basically say, what do we want to achieve? And then every month we look at that dashboard, we create a dashboard, and then we look at it and we say, how are we doing? How are we demonstrating the quality of work for our families? We also then take the family feedback of how well we're doing with our program. Questions like our little survey of, do you feel welcome? We will take that information and we will utilize that to say, what can we do differently? In fact, the feedback form came from a situation where we had, I was meeting with some of our indigent population, and they said, well, I wouldn't feel welcome here. I wouldn't come in. And it shocked me. They said it didn't feel welcoming. And so I basically, I asked more questions. I said, what could we do? What would make it look more or feel more welcoming to you? And as our team has talked about that, we said, well, who else might feel that way? So that's why we did a do you feel welcome when you walk into our center? We end up really taking the feedback from our families, whether it's through our participant advisory committee or to community members that come in, but we are always taking feedback and making changes based on that. I would say that our greatest successes have been when we listen to the individuals that we are serving. If we are just saying, oh, this picture is pretty, or this design is nice, or this is a great program, without really looking at all of the standards of quality, looking at, is this family centered? Is this EDI informed? Is this about building in our community? We aren't providing, I believe, the highest quality of service to families. We have also, some of the success we have seen with the standards of quality is that we use our outcomes, we use our results, we use the language in many of our proposals and requests. And I really believe, especially just using the pathway, I think that it makes a huge difference in providing the opportunity for our funders to trust us, to believe that we are really impacting the members of our community. We again use those standards for program monitoring, and then we also have a quality assurance meeting, and we have a dashboard, and once a month we go through and we look at that dashboard, and we are looking for customer complaints. We're looking at what are people coming into our center for, and what kinds of services people are receiving. Are we doing an intake with them? Are we just handing them out diapers? And so we have great conversations about how do we increase and impact, how do we better impact our individuals that come into our center. I think most of you that are in program in resource centers, family resource centers, will find that if you come in for one need, if you're coming in for diapers, most likely there's an additional need. You're going to need something else in addition to just the diapers, whether that's getting you enrolled in health insurance, helping you with SNAP assistance. Typically, we are inclined, if an individual is open to it, to spend the 15, 20, 30 minutes with an individual doing just a very basic demographic intake form with them to find out what all of their needs are and offer additional services to them. So again, using those standards, making sure that we are helping to strengthen that family, making sure that they feel comfortable and safe in the environment when they come in. We have also engaged our local policymakers, both at the city and county, and have requested their assistance in their areas of influence. And we've been very successful. Primarily, it comes down to we're very engaged in the unhoused population right now, working closely with the city. And in our Montrose community, we also are, we are the key leader with basically supported housing. And that all comes from us and the credibility that we have, frankly, because of the principles, because of the standards that we have, because of the mission that we have and the values, but also because we're so, it is so easy to tie the standards of quality into that for our families. And I think, do we have another slide? I think that might be it.
That is it. Yeah.
That is it. So I could talk on and on. We probably have about 30 different services that we offer here at our Family Resource Center. And Julie had asked that I be able to just give you an overview of the standards and how we use them. If there's any takeaways, what I would say is use a parent advisory group, a participant advisory group, get feedback from people, understand that's how you can grow. And truly the standards, the quality standards are all about how we be in our organization. And so use that feedback, use those relationships, and stay on top of it. If we didn't have an implementation team, I'm not sure we would use the standards as much as we do. And I think there is a slide that will have my my contact information if you want to ask more specific questions. And I will be on the chat. I'll be on the call. So happy to answer any questions you might have afterwards. Julie, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to speak. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Sue. We appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions for Sue, please enter those into the Q&A section of the Zoom platform before you forget them. And without further ado, excited to introduce to you our next program.
Thank you so much. My name is Dana Beasley Brown, and I'm the coordinator of the Youth Services Center at Bowling Green Junior High in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And in Kentucky, our family resource centers are school-based, and we use these standards across the whole state to ensure that we are really are equipping our families to thrive. And at the junior high and high school level, we call our centers youth services centers, but we're all family resource centers. And I'm excited to introduce everyone to two of my colleagues at the junior high, and they're going to share how we have used the standards to help further diversity, inclusion, and equity goals in our school. And so first I want to introduce Gambia Flemister. She is the coordinator of our Black Male Scholars Program. And then later we'll hear from Ms. Jessica Stunson, who is our Family Thrive coordinator with the Black Male Scholars Program.
Hello, yes, my name is Gambia Flemister. As she said, I'm the Black Male Scholars Program Coordinator, and to just kind of explain my role a little bit, I tell the students that my job is to support them and to also kick them in the butt. But of course, I say that with love. It's that tough love at times. And so basically, I just help bridge the gap between students and teachers and parents. Before we get into it, I want to give a little background about our school and the students and families that we serve. So Bowling Green Junior High School is a public 6th to 8th grade school in the Bowling Green Independent School District. It's located in Bowling Green, which is Warren County in Kentucky. It is the second most ethnically diverse middle school in the state of Kentucky. And ultimately, our goal is success for every student. Our school or our district motto is excellence is worth the effort. And so we believe that, we'll do as much as we can to make sure that our students are successful. And we understand that starts with families. To quote the book Building Equity, it says that middle school is a time when we must foster students' understanding of how the quality of the school experience set the stage for high school and beyond. And so we want to, kind of make sure that students understand that what is happening or what I'm doing or the decisions that I'm making right now don't just affect me today, but they also affect me tomorrow in high school and when I'm 22 and when I'm 57. Next slide. So according to our school report card, African-American male students, and again, that's who I service through the Black Male Scholars Program, they are performing far behind their peers at Bowling Green Junior High in reading and math. So if you look at this according to K-Prep and iReady data, 90% of Black male students are at least a grade behind in reading and or math. 23% are English learners. We call them MLs, which means multiple languages. Obviously, English isn't their first, but some of them speak 4, 5, 6 different languages. And 72% qualify for free or reduced lunch. We know that students enter our school with different experiences and access to learning opportunities. And that's not just with African-American males, but it could also be, if we're looking at 2 different students from Tanzania, they could have different experiences as well. Just thinking about equity versus equality. Equality is treating each student the same, regardless of need, but then equity is ensuring that each individual student receives what he or she needs. So as educators, learning about the difference between equity and equality, we could see that addressing this achievement gap using equality methods was not bridging the gap. Okay, in some instances, it was making it even worse. Next slide, please. So in looking at this data and taking all of that into account, we could see that the standards could be a useful tool to create a program that was focused on equity to address the achievement gap for African-American males at our school. So with that being said, next slide. So in the spring of 2021, the Black Male Scholars / Family Thrive program was created for African-American males at Bowling Green Junior High. And the mission is to engage, educate, and eliminate barriers to achieve excellence that lies within every Black male. And that's not just African-American males, but that's also males who are directly of African descent, or refugee families, or scholars who have moved here from the African continent. Next slide. And so our goals, so first we want to, push the students through advanced and rigorous curriculum. We know that they can do it. I think in the past, it's just been, we hadn't been providing the opportunity for all students, and then with that, not necessarily giving them that support. So it's advanced and rigorous curriculum and content taught through the lens of African American history and culture. So we wanted to make sure that we gave them intentional support. We know that more affluent families would possibly be able to afford a tutor or someone that can help them outside of school. So we want to make sure that we give them that same opportunity, only ours is through the school. The second thing is social emotional excellence. So we provide scholars with mentors and community leaders that come in and talk to the students. We also make sure that we're communicating with families in order to support those students socially and emotionally. And that's also where Jessica Stunson comes in, and she'll tell you more about what she does. She is a godsend because there's no way that we could do it without her. And the third thing, a sense of belonging through culturally responsive teaching and learning strategies, mentorship, and family support. So just providing relevance for students, for them to feel connected, not only to what they're learning, but also to others in the building. Next slide. And then just more specifically on how families and scholars are supported with our in-school services. So one is that we have weekly staff meetings. So once a week I meet with, right now we have 6th grade scholars and 7th grade scholars. Once a week I meet with teachers, and we discuss, what the students, what they're doing well, and then also what students maybe need a little extra support. That includes us, referring them to Jessica Stunson, also, pulling in other resources in the school, or, connecting them to community resources, as well as things that we're able to do through our youth service center. Also intentional curriculum planning. So, if not just, we look at each individual student. So in talking to the parents, they may be able to tell us, hey, well, last year and the years leading up, one of the things that teachers have done to help this individual student is to provide like an oral test versus him just taking a written test. So could he have a reader while he's taking the test in order to help him, and that would help supplement his IEP. So we pull on a lot of things that we talk about in class, or we talk about as teachers. Then we also communicate with parents to see the best way to help their student learn. Also frequent parent contact. There are several parents that I talk to just about every day. We just have that rapport, and because it's excellence is worth the effort. It's what it takes for that student to be successful. We do weekly grade checks and celebrations. We do student of the month recognition, and that's important because they get vouchers from Texas Roadhouse, and then that's another opportunity for parents and students to go out and have a family meal and spend time together. And then lastly, the last point that I want to raise is our monthly field trips. A lot of our field trips, and then also our parent cafes, it provides not just support for the students and for the families, but we get them all together, and to be able to see not just the students with their parents, but also parents creating that community as the students are creating that community. It provides for stronger families, and of course in turn stronger students. So now I will turn it over to Jessica Stunson. She is our Family Thrive coordinator, and she can tell you a little bit more about how we target the parents and are able to provide supports for our parents.
Good afternoon. So I've been introduced a couple of times now. My name is Jessica Stunson, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I provide mental health services in the community. So after the need for this type of programming was recognized, as Gambia and Dana stated previously, Dana reached out to me specifically because they were looking for an African-American social worker who could work with these families, because we know representation matters. And so next slide. Oh, you're already there. Sorry. And so once we recognized that not only did the scholars need in-school support, we understood that in order for the scholars to be successful, that their families would also need some support. And so we do this, sorry, that's acting wonky. And so this led to the creation of an aspect of our program, which is called Family Thrive. And so this program was designed to build resilience within families by providing opportunities for the entire family to heal past trauma, including racial trauma, because we are focused a lot on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that is a big part of it. And also building resilience to be protected from the impact of future trauma. And so we do this by offering collaboration with community resources to assist and support our families that participate in this program. Some of the collaboration provided includes obviously services to support mental health. I personally provide mental health services to some of our family and scholars. We have over 50, so it's not possible for me to see everyone. So then we also partner with community partners to get them matched up with someone who can fit whatever needs they may have. We work with substance use prevention, domestic violence prevention, transportation, and health and social supports, and so much more. I mean, I have actually taken families to the doctors, to a doctor's appointment, because we know that any of these barriers can be the thing that is a catalyst for disaster of some sort within these families. Another aspect of our program is our families are linked to a network of African-American professionals within and service providers within our community whenever possible. So doctors, lawyers, accountants, because again, we know representation matters. And so in the African-American community, if I can go in and I can see someone who looks like me, there's already a certain level of trust that is built. And that allows us to get in deeper oftentimes with these families to really get to the root of some of the issues that they may have and provide them support. Next slide, please. So part of the Family Thrives program is we begin each school year with an induction ceremony. So the picture you see on screen is from our first induction ceremony, and this is one of our families. And so at this ceremony, scholars and families make commitments to one another. Scholars commit to accomplishing their goals. Being accountable for their actions and behaviors, being kind and respectful to themselves and their families, their school, and their community. So these are commitments that each scholar gets up and they read aloud and they agree to these things, that in order to be a part of this program, these are the standards that I'm willing to live by because excellence is worth the effort. Families also commit to their scholars. And so they commit to supporting and encouraging their scholars, trusting their scholars to make good decisions and choices. And then the families vow to lead by example, to model responsible characteristics, continue to grow their relationships, no matter what obstacles they may face, in order to overcome negative statistics. And so this is always a good time. This is most of the time the first meeting of a lot of our families. And so we really make this a very special event and make sure we cater it and, you know, invite everybody in the family to come and be a part of this because this is day one or ground zero, as you could say. Next slide, please. So then in the program is within the first weeks, I first meet with myself and intern. We meet with the families. And the purpose of this is needs assessments. We want to figure out what is going on, where can we help you, and how can we support you. And so we assess the risk and protect factors present within the family, create a unique plan, case plan, if you will, to help support that family unit, to increase the protective factors and to reduce risk factors within their family unit. The survey that we use is the Protective Factor Survey, which is created by the Friends National Resource Center. So that's where we start. And this is not a survey. Of course, it is looking at the risk. But we tell all of our parents up front that we're not here to bash you or to look down upon you. But if we don't know that there are risks, then there's no way that we can offer you the support that may be beneficial for your family. So the survey is designed to provide us with the following information. So we get a snapshot of the families that we serve, the changes in protective factors, and the areas where we can focus on increasing individual family protective factors. And so this survey, we do it in the beginning of each school year, and then we also do it at the end so that we can kind of see where there may have been growth, where there still may be needs or areas that maybe we have not addressed. Because as anybody who works with any sort of case planning, we know that we have to continuously go back to the plan and readjust and reassess. The survey measures protective factors in 5 areas. So family functioning and resiliency, social support, concrete support, nurturing and attachment, and knowledge of parenting and child development. So after the initial assessment, all 5 protective factors are addressed and strengthened through case management provided by me or other community partners, and then our family programming, which is always exciting. And I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. So parents and guardians of our Black Male Scholars Program are required to participate in a minimum family enrichment activity. So our family enrichment programming focuses on community building through sharing a meal. So that is at every community event, at every family event, we always provide a meal because in the African American community and individuals from the African diaspora, that is kind of our thing, right? We sit down and we share a meal together and we talk through whatever issues we have. So we start with sharing a meal, and this kind of just take some of the pressure off of like feeling like, oh, I'm coming here and I don't know what we're going to be doing and I don't know what we're talking about. So it just kind of leads the families, gives them time to intermingle amongst themselves and kind of meet and greet. And then we get into our actual programming. So the programming builds relationships. So the families are, again, in the same room, they're sharing a meal and they're building that relationship. They're talking to one another. One of the main family enrichment activities is our parent cafes. So we do these every month, and they are offered and tailored for our families. And we utilize parent cafe cards that are published by Be Strong Families. And the cards that we specifically use address racial trauma, parenting teens, and emerging adults, and the impacts of the pandemic on mental health. And so we sit together and we group up into small groups, and you can see on the screen, one of the pictures is a picture of one of the cards, and the cards have 5 questions on them. And these questions are around those 5 protective factors, resiliency, etc. And so the families meet together, they talk amongst each other, and then we come back together and we share to the large group. What are our takeaways? Because what we have seen is a lot of our families are dealing with the same stuff, right? And so if I'm all bottled up and I don't tell anybody, I feel like it's just me. I'm the only one that's dealing with it. And so when we get together, we have these meetings, the families are like, your kid does that too, mine does too, and how do you deal with it? And that's part of what this is about, is building that strong social support for one another and helping guide each other through trial and error. Right? This is what I've done with my older children. This didn't work so well. So with my younger child, I'm doing this. The parent cafes are not just focused on our Black male scholars, but they have siblings. So we talk a lot about that because it is the whole family that we are working with and not just the scholar. Another aspect of programming includes financial freedom, working with parents, connecting them with community partners, having community partners come and speak with them about things such as home ownership and budgeting and financial goal setting. We offer presentations to connect the families again with local African-American healthcare providers and professionals. Because believe it or not, when we started this program, we didn't realize how many African-American service providers there really were in the community. There is no like one-stop shop and you can go in and find, oh, okay, there's a nutrition that's here. It's all word of mouth. And so that's part of one of the unique things that this program does is we gather those resources and then we provide the families with those resources. Next slide, please. So another major highlight of our family enrichment offerings, our program called Discover Your Roots. So this program provides each scholar with a DNA ancestry kit for them and their families to discover their ancestral roots. The results are paired with a year-long trauma-informed program to connect them with roots. So right now, scholars just got some of their results back last semester, and they're currently studying about where their family it comes from and learning those things. And so this end helps to facilitate healing from generational trauma. Develop love and self-esteem. Also, we culminate the year with a year-end cultural celebration. So scholars come in and they will wear clothing that is from their ancestral roots place. They will prevent food that maybe is from their ancestral root place. And so this is a big family celebration as well. And our families love, most of us as African Americans don't know. We don't know where our roots are from, obviously for obvious reasons. And so this is a big thing for our families as well as our scholars. Next slide, please. So I talked about the program and the offerings, and now I really want to talk a little bit about the program impacts. And so I know you earlier when Gambia was presenting and she talked about the disparities between African-American males and all students in Bowling Green Junior High. And so as you can see here, after this is from our first year results. So we're currently in the middle of year 2. So after the first year of programming, these are the results that we're seeing. Reading and math scores for our Black male scholars outperform all other students in the school. So I want to make sure that you all heard what I just said. The scholars in this program are outperforming all other students in the school from 1 year of offering this family support and supporting them and encouraging them and building them. Next slide, please. Another measure that we use, here you can see that there is also an improvement with attendance and behavior. So this slide shows African-American males. So we see the 2020, 2021 attendance, 95%, 2021, 2022, this is our Black male scholars. So before they were in the program, they were at about a 95% attendance rate, and that attendance rate has grown since they've been a part of the program. When we look at behavior, African-American males in the school, 35% of those students, only 35% of those students had 0 major write-ups. If you look at our Black male scholars, 70% of those scholars have 0 major write-ups. So we see an improvement in attendance and behavior. A part of that is that community. These scholars and families feel like they are a part of something, and they take pride in being a part of that. And with that show, you know, I want to go to school, I want to behave, I want to show up, back to the commitments that we talked about with the induction ceremony in the beginning. And so we can see that these scholars are living up to their commitments. Next slide, please. More evaluation. So this is our the students' EPOC survey by the numbers. So EPOC is engagement, perseverance, optimism, connectedness, and happiness. And so you can see by the numbers that our scholars do feel like they are a part of something, something that is important to them, something that drives them and pushes them to want to achieve that excellence. Just the comments and the Glows and Grows, the scholars said that they feel comfortable around their fellow peers. It pushes them to be successful, and it teaches them to never give up and helps them get their work done. And then the Grows, we also ask them, okay, how can we improve, right? We don't want to just talk about all the good stuff. We want to talk about and look at, okay, what can we improve and where can we get better? And so some of the things that the scholars said this year were they wanted to do more activities. This is the first year that we've had two cohorts. We have 6th and 7th grade. And so they want to do more together, community building with both grades. And then sometimes they can't be quiet no matter what happens because students, right? And then they want to go on more field trips, which we know we do the best we can with that. They go monthly. So, but I did think it was beneficial to include that feedback from the scholars. Next slide, please. And this is a parent survey that we sent out with the EPOC survey. And so as you can see, majority, 50% of our families feel that the program has, they enjoy our family programming, right? We have some that agree that they enjoy our family programming, and then we have some that are neutral. Obviously, we want to keep providing programming that is enjoyable to them. And so we are doing some things to improve that engagement with the parents, bringing in more community members. Our next parent cafe we actually have planned. We have some community members coming in and bringing vehicles, and we're going to teach the families and the your fluids on your vehicle, change a tire. So all of these life lessons that they will need to know, but also we get to see how the families engage together and how they follow rules together and how they speak to one another. So that's exciting. And that's some of this feedback provides that allows us to change our programming to support our families. As you see, the parents and guardians feel supported by the program. 75% always feel like we're there for them. We show up for them. 25% very often we show up for them. So that's 100% that we are there supporting them and they feel supported. Communication is the next point. 86% of our families feel that we communicate well with them. Gambia does that with the teachers. Like she said, she talks to some parents almost daily, communicating about grades, communicating about behaviors, things like that. She and I are in constant communication. Hey, I noticed this scholar needs this, or this scholar needs that, or can you check in with this family to see kind of what's going on? This scholar's been absent. So you can see here that the family feels that. They see that we are communicating with them and connecting with them. And then finally, on this slide, we see that the families do feel that we really care about their scholars. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to share to wrap up some of the feedback. So the feedback that's on this screen specifically relates to our Discover Your Roots program. And so the families were so excited last year when we had our ceremony and they kind of got the results and they learned about their roots. And I mean, it was interesting to see, you know, some of the family. One parent said, you know, we call our son Bubby, and he's from the Bubi tribe in Africa, and it was just so interesting. So the families were so excited to have that and to make that connection, and not only for their scholars, but for them as well. Next slide, thank you. Feedback, the text message Ms. Lemister received from a parent about grades. And then if you don't mind, there is a sound clip on here from one of our parents as well.
We tested this.
We did.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
My name is Latrice
Okay, there you go.
Carruthers. I have a son, Azarion Herndon, that is a part of Black
What happened? Sorry, I don't know.
Scholars as well as Family Thrive.
I'm going to
My
start.
name is Latrice Carruthers. I have a son, Azarion Herndon, that is a part of Black Male Scholars as well as Family Thrive. And as a member of these two programs, we know we have people who actually care about us and want to see us do better and be better. I've actually never been comfortable asking for help, no matter what capacity, but I feel confident and comfortable with the Black Male Scholars and Family Thrive programs that I don't hesitate. anytime there was a situation that would come up where I felt like I was failing as a mom, I would first reach out to Miss Jessica, Miss Flemister, and they never hesitated to do anything that was needed to assist me and my family. And also, Black Male Scholars has taught Ziggy how to study better and prepare himself for the world, and also how to manage in situations. It has shown through his behavior and his attitude, and I'm forever grateful and thankful for Black Male Scholars and Family Thrive.
So as you can see, a year and a half in, this program is making a huge impact, not only on the scholars, but more importantly, the whole family. We have a funny story. I was at my son's school. My son does not attend this school, but I was at his school, and there were some other students talking about, we want to be in the Black Male Scholars Program. They're in a whole different school district. So this program is making impact across the community. And so I think that that was important to highlight, that a year and a half in, and these are the results that we're seeing. And this is how this program has been impactful within our school, within our community. That is the end of our presentation. Of course, we'll stick around and be available for questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much to Jessica, Gambia, and Dana. So awesome to hear about your program. Incredible things happening in Kentucky. So great.
My name is Latrice.
Oh, there you go. All right. So want to just pause and give you a second to type in any questions that you may have into the Q&A panel. And so we are going to go ahead and take questions. Let's see. So there was a question about, are all of the family members able to come and share the family outing? And this was for Gambia, and it'd be great to answer it live so everybody could hear. That'd be awesome if you wanted to weigh in.
Yes, so anyone that the parents want to bring are, they're welcome to come. When we send out reminders, we also ask for parents to send in the number that we would expect to attend the parent cafe. And so that way we have enough food for everyone. There's usually plenty of food. The students also love to come because then they get to go and play in the gym while the parents are meeting and mingling. So yes, so to answer the question, yes, anyone that wants to come is welcome to come.
And I would just piggyback on that. We have a lot of families with a lot of different makeups of what family means for them in this moment. For a lot of our families who've come as refugees, their parents have to take turns working and sleeping. And so for some of the Black male scholars, it's their older sibling that they're bringing to the family outing. Or it's, they're bringing each other or a friend, because their other siblings have to stay and take care of the other younger siblings at home. And so it's creating family connections and allowing it to be who their family is in that moment. And so again, those standards of community strengthening and really just allowing everything to be a strength and bringing who they are fully and authentically, and not being left out because they don't have the traditional model of what a family looks like, or a parent can't come.
Thank you all so much. All right. One other question here that just came in. Do you ever have young meals serve the parents while at the cafe?
Serve the parents as far as like serving them.
I'm sorry, Jessica, you broke up just a little bit there.
I was just trying to clarify, serve them as far as like serving them the meal. What do we mean by serving?
I think that's what it means. But if you want to wait, yes, serving them their meals, teaching work skills. Yes. Clarification received. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure I was answering the question. Actually, we do not, because the way that we have someone serving the entire so scholars don't, but that is and that's kind of the for with like the fluids check and the tire change. That's kind of what we're doing. So not only are the scholars teaching their families, but their families are all teaching the scholars. So we do implement strategies for that, where they can learn how to show up for their parents, how to be present, how to be respectful, and all the things that will serve them later in life.
Yeah, and I wanted to also add to that they don't necessarily serve the meals, but what they have done is in the past, like when we have our Kwanzaa celebration, then students have presented that. So they have participated in that. So there are aspects of the Parent Cafe where students are, or the scholars are involved in, I guess, like serving or presenting to their parents and to their fellow scholars. So the last Kwanzaa celebration, our 7th grade scholars actually ran the Kwanzaa celebration for their parents and for the 6th grade scholars, since they had attended the Kwanzaa celebration the year before.
All right, I have one other question about the let's see. There is a question about somebody asked about the purpose of them going to the gym instead of going to the Parent Cafe.
Well, the scholars love spending time with each other, and so that's just another opportunity for them to fellowship with each other. Actually, the next Parent Cafe that we'll have in March, it's March 9th. And it will be a Parent Cafe where the students are asked to come. Our principal is going to sit down and kind of go over their testing data. That way that parents understand what it is, because, we'll send the information home like, hey, this is what your son scored, but then parents might not know how to read that information. And so our principal is going to sit down and talk with the parents about what that means. And not only that, but also talk to the students about, hey, this is what is expected of you. This is what, you're capable of doing. And so it just kind of depends on what is happening with the Parent Cafe. Some Parent Cafes, it's more geared towards just the parents. And so that's why the students would go to the gym. Like I said, they just love playing together. But then there are some Parent Cafes where the students are there, like in the same room with the parents.
Great.
And I just want to piggyback off of that. When we do use cafe conversation cards, the cards are very well, not specific, but some of the conversation that comes from those may be that a parent is having with their child. And so we see it important to have the child separate. And so they're in the gym with their mentors and that sort of thing, so that the parents can feel open and speak freely without feeling like, okay, I'm going to offend my child if I say this, because we really want them to be able to speak from the heart and talk about the issues that they are having. So what we're doing for the Parent Cafe, the scholars are in the room.
Great. Thanks so much, ladies. And I have 2 more questions. And one is wondering if Sue could share, if you're able to share your intake form that you use with families at your Family Resource Center. I see you're nodding your head. Did I see that? Yes. Yes. Okay.
I'm working on it. I'm going to try to get a link dropped in.
Awesome.
Otherwise, yes.
And if you aren't able to get it in the next like 3 or 4 minutes, that's okay. We are happy to put it in the handouts that will be uploaded to the website. So no worries. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really helpful. And then one last question. And if you have other questions, feel free to put them in and we'll be able to respond via email. But one last question, which is if you could give fellow programs that are here, I know at least half of the folks that are here today are from Family Resource Centers and similar programs. So if you could give them any advice about beginning to use the standards, so what would you suggest? And feel free to just jump in. Whoever would.
So I will just say a personal testimony. I grew up with a lot of ACEs. I experienced homelessness, hunger, different types of just negative experiences. And I had a lot of shame about who I was, my family, who we were, why the things that were happening to us. And it was all encompassing. Everything that society was saying was shame-based and negative about who I was and my family. And when I got introduced to the standards through getting trained in those, I saw how these standards really do totally revolutionize social services in a way that flips it upside down and changing the way that we see the families and the students and whoever it is your population you're working with, that they are incredible human beings that have everything they need to not only thrive in that moment, but they have something to offer that they can share with the world to make us a place where everyone can thrive and be their best. And that the way that we have structured so many programs has silenced families, silenced students, silenced those who are directly impacted by a lot of the things that they're experiencing. And so the reason why the standards have been so special in what we do is because it has given us a framework, a professional framework, a foundation to hold ourselves accountable and to share with others how we can totally change the way we do things in a way that allows everybody to really live into their best selves and to really shape our future so that we can really change the world. So that's what I would say is really just fully embrace them, even if it hurts and it's uncomfortable, that if you do, it's really going to make a big impact.
Well, Dana, I don't know that I could say it any better than that. That was amazing. I would add to that is you don't have to be perfect at everything, even though we try to be. So familiarize yourself with the standards and be okay that everything isn't at the highest level yet, at the high quality. Just know that you can get there. And then you can go even further. You'll continue. What we have found is we continue to raise the bar. It's just like, oh, yes, we did it. It's not enough. Oh, yes, we did that. And so, but just start. I think that's what I would say is just be familiar with them. Pick 2 or 3 or 4 that are important or even the low hanging fruit and start using them.
So well said. So well said. Well, thank you all again so much for being here. It's been so awesome to learn about your programs and to see the standards in action. And so thank you again so much. Want to share a couple other slides real quick, just to share a little, some other information. Other webinar Wednesdays that we have coming up. You can see here on the slide, March is going to be busy and we're so excited about it. Uncovering America's Best Kept Secret is all things Family Resource Center and Family Resource Center networks. We have another one coming up mid-March. This is about Family Resource Centers and healthcare partnerships. We're excited about that. We're also excited to highlight the Utah network. So some of these are already live on the website and you can register right now. Others will be live by tomorrow. So be watching for those to come out. And we also have a library of other recorded webinar Wednesdays. This one will be included as of tomorrow as well. And I know there was a lot of talk about parent involvement and how we can get parents engaged and at the table. And, how are we able to do that effectively to engage our parents and communities? So encourage you to check out this webinar or this training, sorry, not a webinar. This is a training. This is the Developing and Sustaining Effective Parent Advisory Committee training. And it's co-trained by a NFSN staff member and a national parent leader. So this has all of the tools, just very concrete and very applicable. This is, registration is open for the April webinar. We, hot off the press, we've just updated the date for this. So So if you register online for the April, you may see different dates. This is correct, and you'll receive notification of that. So just wanted to flag that. And then the standards training. If you're not already certified in the standards, of course, the standards themselves are available on the website to download, as well as all of the implementation tools. Those are free. Those are certainly not selling those. And one way you can go deeper with the standards is by being certified and really seeing how you can apply the standards in your work. So this is a 2 partial day training, and encourage you to check it out. We have openings. I believe there's a few left in March and definitely some in April. So feel free to register for that. And here's my contact information. And if you have any questions, particularly directed towards the Bowling Green folks or towards Sue at Hilltop, feel free to, you can email me and I can pass those along. And as a reminder, all of the recording for this webinar, as well as all of the handouts, will be available on the National Family Support Network website by this time tomorrow. So thank you all again so much for joining us for the webinar, and a special thank you, big round of applause to our incredible presenters. Thank you again for being here. And as a reminder, when you close out of the webinar today, an evaluation, a brief evaluation, will appear on your screen when you exit. And we really appreciate your feedback. We read every word, and we use that input to plan future webinars. So thank you again for being here, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of your Wednesday. Thanks again.